We did like a 5-hour long show. It was a whole lot of fun. And in the end,
okay, I also want to say this before we get started. I'm pretty sure that the reason that Tim Pool brought Milo, like had already pre-booked Milo for this episode, and I can already tell I'm actually going to need to slow down the playback speed, which I'm not happy about because Tim Pool's talking way too fast already. The reason that I think Tim brought Milo on for this episode is he was convinced that it was going to be a red wave. I just want to pat myself on the back. I was one of very few people that called 6 months ago that it was not going to be a red wave in November. I've done several videos about why I didn't think it was going to be a red wave in November. You can avail yourself of those if you want to know. But I never thought it was going to be a red wave in November. Tim Pool did. And so I'm going to take the win on that one. Magpie said, when I did disc at age 17, I was equally D and I. It is potentially different now. Yes, disc will change over your lifetime, but usually not that much unless you go through a midlife crisis.
Republicans did fairly well.
That's better.
If you were tracking the projections a month or two before...
Did Tim just say Republicans did fairly well? No, Republicans did not do fairly well. Republicans haven't even guaranteed themselves winning the House yet. And they lost the Senate. So no, Tim, Republicans did not do fairly well. Republicans lost so big time. It is embarrassing how badly Republicans lost.
This went down, then you're not surprised by the results. If you were tracking the projections only in the week or two before, you probably thought they were going to do way, way, way better. And, you know, look, I'll say everybody wants to yell and scream red wave because they want to boost morale and get everyone to go and vote. But this is why I was saying things like, don't think you're going to win. You need to go out and vote no matter what the polls say. But in the end, it's within the parameters of what even 538's projections were up until like 2 weeks ago when these debates started happening. So right now, I think we're looking at potentially 224 seats for the Republicans in the House. We're looking at potentially 51 seats, maybe with the runoff. We'll see.
Both of those things are wrong. Both of those things are wrong. The maximum number of seats probably that Republicans are going to get is 220 in the House, which is just 2 that they need to, that is just 2 over what they need to actually control the House, which is pathetic. Pathetic in a midterm. Pathetic. And Republicans lost the Senate. And Republicans are probably going to lose that runoff in Georgia, too, because what a lot of people don't understand about that libertarian that spoiled the Georgia runoff, Chase Oliver, that a lot of Republicans are really angry at Chase Oliver right now. The fact of the matter is that Chase Oliver is a leftist. He is far left. Now, libertarians can be on both the left and the right. Chase Oliver is far left. Chase Oliver didn't pull votes from Republicans. Chase Oliver pulled votes from Democrats. And so going into this runoff, Chase Oliver isn't going to be in it anymore, which means you're going to have more Democrat votes already than you do Republicans. And Herschel Walker was already down. So the Republicans are going to end up losing a Senate seat out of the midterm elections. So don't tell me Republicans had a good night. Anyone that tells you that Republicans had a good night last week is lying to you. Raymond, I like Elijah. Oh, that's not the one I want to put up. This one. Sorry. I like Elijah a lot. I'm more than happy to do an Elijah Schaffer reaction video if you guys point me to which one you want me to react to. Let me know.
Looks like Nevada might flip. There's a few congressional districts we're still looking at potentially that are about to flip. It looks like in Maryland, we may actually see one district flip. And then what do you expect? I mean, Republicans take the House in the midterm. They can launch investigations. They were never going to pass laws. We'll see. But Joe Biden gave a speech. Joe Biden came out and said, I will do nothing. I will change nothing. Everything that's going as bad as it is will continue. Thanks mostly because, well, not a lot could have changed, but because Democratic voters, they wanted it. In places like New York, California, this is the thing that they want. I mean, I can't blame them. They live there. They want it. By all means, you can have it. So we'll talk about that and so much more. We have a lot of election stuff to go through. DeSantis with his double-digit lead, winning in Florida. Now people are suggesting
every conservative that points to Florida as proof that Republicans won the election blatantly ignored what Scott Pressler told you, which is that it was always going to be fine in Florida. it was probably going to be fine in Arizona. I still think Kari Lake is going to end up winning governor of Arizona. I was not at all surprised to see that Blake Masters lost because reasons. That's another thing I can get into on another day. But this was already told to you guys. But if you really think that Republicans had a winning night because they did good in one single state and then sucked in pretty much every other state. And by the way, I did an interview over the weekend where this guy, and I like him a lot, and so I don't want to shit talk him because I do actually like him and I think he's a good guy. He really tried to set me up in this interview. He said something like, in the state of Florida, they require voter ID. And they count all of the votes on election day instead of waiting it out for a week. And Florida turned out just fine. Isn't that why Florida turned out just fine and every other state turned out for shit? And I said to him, well, guess what? I live in New Hampshire. We require voter ID in New Hampshire. I had to show an ID when I voted. And guess what? In New Hampshire, we counted all the votes on the night of the election. So it was not dissimilar to Florida at all. And in New Hampshire, which people think is a blue state, but is not a blue state at all, Republicans got slaughtered. And the reason they got slaughtered was because of the Democrat youth voter turnout on UNH's campus. And others too. But that was one of the reasons that they got their asses handed to them. And it wasn't even just that. It was that Republicans used all of their Roe v. Wade money in order to buy ads about abortion in New Hampshire for 6 months prior to the election. So Republicans got slaughtered in New Hampshire, even though they really shouldn't have by any measurable stretch. So to say that Florida is the reason that Republicans had a good night it is intellectually dishonest at best.
Really awful. Let's jump into this first story.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, last night, Republicans won. And then I wake up in the morning and all the conservatives are angry. They're saying
Republicans did not
this
win,
was
Tim.
an unlosable election and we did so poorly. And I'm seeing all this.
Okay, I'm sorry. Is Tim Pool still trying to sell you guys the line that Republicans won? Because if Tim Pool is honestly and truly trying to sell you guys the line that Republicans won, then everything else Tim Pool says needs to be called into question from here on forward. I am sorry. That is a ridiculously absurd notion. Republicans should have taken the House by at least 20 seats. They're going to be lucky to take it by 2. Republicans should have taken the Senate by at least 2 or 3 seats. And they have lost the Senate. Any notion that Republicans won is absurd and completely unhinged from reality. Completely unhinged. I'm sorry.
These leftist personalities cheering and screaming like, oh, no red wave. And I'm just like, I don't understand. The Republicans won. Like,
no,
they
didn't.
won. They won.
Wrong.
And there's likely more winning coming.
No,
I get it. Republicans wanted a bloodbath. But instead, they got a victory. So now, this is great. Biden says he won't change anything.
You know, and I think the sunk emotional cost that they had attached to the midterms as a moment when they could reassure themselves that maybe there was, maybe there was still some glimmer of.
But they won.
No,
well, not really.
Tim,
but they won what they needed. The House.
No.
Milo is correct and Tim is wrong.
It was a bog standard or slightly unimpressive.
Tim, what could they have done better? Are you fucking shitting me? Tim, what could they have done better? They could have listened to everyone who told them 6 months ago that they were going to lose based on abortion. And they could have done something about it to create some sort of platform for their candidates to run on that was not, we're not Democrats. Did anyone, and this is an honest question for the chat, did anyone hear any Republican candidate running on any platform that was not vote for me because I'm not a Democrat? Again, Don Bolduc, the Senate candidate in New Hampshire, I went to one of his events. And Don Bolduc's entire stump speech was, Democrats are awful. I'm not a Democrat. Vote for me. That was his entire pitch for why we should vote for him. It was not even about him or his policies or what he would do or what he would fight for. It was, I'm not a Democrat. Vote for me. Was there any Republican that was running on anything other than I'm not a Democrat? That was the fucking problem. That is what needed to be fixed. This isn't even that hard. Why isn't Tim Pool screaming this? Because he's a grifter and wants to play to conservative audiences. Oh, I said it. Sorry, not sorry.
Midterm in which the usual swing occurred. That is not what
even
Republicans
Milo's
were
telling
expecting.
Right.
They
wanted
not what they were hoping
victory.
for. That's not a victory. When something happens that always happens, that happens whether you campaign or not, that happens whether you do anything or not, that's not a victory. That's
yes.
that's
Milo is 100% correct. I'm currently on Team Milo.
As a sort of almost like a weather event, it's just part of the natural cycle of things.
Yeah.
There was no victory because there was nothing above and beyond what the ordinary course of a midterm election.
I understand.
Hang on. Amanda is saying in the chat, and for those of you who are new to me, I do actually talk and interact with my chat, and I do know people in my chat and who are regulars on my channel. So if you'd like to join me today, you can subscribe. I do streams
who
5
they
days a
feel
week.
are tearing the fabric of their civilization apart. Doing all kinds of things that we'll talk about in the to suffer. Yeah. They wanted to see the I forget what the Conan quote is. I haven't seen it for 25 years, but they wanted that. Whatever the first bit is, the lamentations of their women. They wanted shrieking. They wanted the 2016 energy.
Right.
They wanted to see liberals panic.
But that's nebulous in the sense that
it's
not nebulous at all, Tim.
Fundamental.
By winning the House, there can now be inquiries, investigations.
Nobody cares about winning the House.
Right. So listen.
Nobody cares about winning the House. The entire Republican base is now
for
at peace
them
with the
to
fact
get
that elections are theater.
retribution.
You know what? I did not believe that Milo was straight before this. You can even go back and watch back episodes of Nothing Remotely Controversial where I was like, there is no way in this universe that Milo Yiannopoulos would ever sleep with a woman ever. Like, Milo is obviously gay. I'm sorry. However, Milo is giving such big dick energy right now that even though Milo is not my type at all, I'm a little turned on. I'm not going to lie. Like, I love the way he's not taking Tim's shit. He is telling Tim he's wrong, and Milo is absolutely right in everything that he's saying. And like Tim is like not liking it at all, and I am living for this. Don't give in to him, Milo. Yes, he's absolutely still gay. He's 100% still gay. Milo Yiannopoulos has never slept with a woman. I'm not taking it back.